My dear beloved brethren, I'm here with you again today, trusting that you've had a great day in the Lord. Thank you so very much for being with us. Philip P. Bliss, fierce and long the battle rages, but our help is near. Onward comes our great commander, cheer, my comrades cheer. Hold the fort, for I am coming, Jesus signals still. Wave the answer back to heaven, by thy grace we will. Today we want to build on what we were building on. I close in our last devotion by reading for you Exodus 23 verse 12. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the seventh day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the strangers may be refreshed. God is telling Israel, we are looking at the time and the season that we are in. God is telling Israel that he would continue to deal with them for another 70 weeks of years. And you know the week have 7 days and the week of years have 7. So if he said that he's going to continue dealing with them for another 70 weeks of years, of course you will understand that 70 must multiply by 7. That will give us 490 years. So what God is saying to Israel, for the next 490 years, I will deal with you before bringing in everlasting righteousness. So at the end of 490 years, God will bring in everlasting righteousness. Now you may ask, 490 years has not passed since this prophecy? Yes. But we need to understand when this clock started ticking, what caused the clock to tick, when it stopped, and when it will tick again. So when this clock started ticking, I believe the count began when the command to rebuild Jerusalem was given. Some years ago, I did a number of studies on the book of Nehemiah when we were building the church. It encouraged us so much to give and to work. So the count began when the command to rebuild Jerusalem was given. Nehemiah chapter 1 and 2 inform us that the command was issued during the 20th year of Artaxerxes. I've also learned that the Encyclopedia Britannica sets that the date at March the 14th, 445 BC. That was the day the count began when the command to rebuild Jerusalem was given. 445 BC. Now you may ask, well, 490 years haven't passed since that. Well, you know it's 445 BC and we are now 2025. So you know more than 490 years have passed. So where are we with all of this? Good question. The next thing I want to bring to your attention that I have learned is the division and the happenings of the 490 years. When I look at this 490 years after studying, I believe that it could be divided in 3 or 4, whichever way is right. If we divide it in 4, it is right. If we divide it in 3, it is right. Now, how could you say 3 could be right and 4 could be right? Because when we think of the tribulation period, 7 years, it is the tribulation period. We could count that as 1, or we could count that as 2, 3.5, 3.5. So whichever way you put it, it's right. Whether you want it at 4 or you want it at 5, both of them would be explained in the scriptures. Some would say 3 periods, which will also be correct, as I said. I'll explain later. Now let's look at the first period. In Daniel 9 verse 25, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandments to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks. Notice what he said? 62 years, the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. Now, let's look at this. The first period. As we understood from Daniel 9:25, this consists of 7 weeks of years, means we have to, whenever we hear of the weeks, he's referring to weeks of years. So we have to take 7 and multiply it by 7 and we get 49 years. Now during this time of 49 years, the holy city, streets and walls, they were to be built even in troublous times. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and rebuild Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks, and the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. History tells us that in BC 396, they were completed. The walls were completed. Now, what would that mean? It would mean that they took 49 years, 7 sevens, to complete that work. And if you take the 49 years from when they began, 445 BC, when you subtract the 49 years, history is correct, it would be 396 years. So if you take the 14th of March BC, that the Encyclopedia Britannica set at the date the clock started ticking and subtract it, you'll be dead on target with 396 years. So the first period took 49 years and left us with 396 years to complete what was listed. So 1 week of years is gone because we got 7 weeks to go. The second period, we are told, this is consisted of 3 scores, which is 60, and 2 weeks. 3 score and 2 weeks. Again, we know that this is weeks of years. 3 score would equal 60, plus 2 will equal 62, times 7 will equal 434 years. 434 years. This began after the first period of 49 years ended. Now, this was supposed to take us up to, let me go back and find the verse and read it for you in verse number 24. He said, 70 weeks are determined upon the people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin and to make the reconciliation for the iniquity, and to bring about everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision of the prophecy and the anointing of the Most High. Now, I said to you that this began 49 years, the first 49 years when they were ended. This count continued up until the same time the Messiah was cut off or crucified. In verse 26 of Daniel 9, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. So it will take that time, all that time will pass before Christ would be crucified. Let me read it for you again. He said, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not from himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with the flood, and unto the end of the world desolation are carried off. When we hear the word cut off carries the meaning of death. The psalmist said in chapter 37, verse 9, for evildoers shall be cut off, speaking of death. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. Speaking of it again, Jeremiah said in chapter 11, verse 19, but I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter, and I knew not that they had devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more remembered. Cut off means put to death. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 11, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off anymore by the waters of the flood, neither shall there anymore be a flood to destroy the earth. Cut off means put to death. So at BC 396, the temple, the walls, and the streets of Jerusalem were completed. 434 years from BC 396 brings us to AD 32. The question is asked, how one came by that number, AD 32? I'm glad you asked. Again, it was the brilliant British and Bible student, we are told, Sir Robert Anderson, who reduced the first two periods into days. He did it by multiplying 483 by 360, which gave him 173,880 days. We're told 360 days were noted as a biblical year, not 365, back then 360. So Anderson points out if one begins counting on March the 14th BC 445 and goes forward in history, these 173,880 days will run out on April the 2nd, AD 32. It is said that was the very day that Jesus made his triumphant entry into the city of Jerusalem. And that's how we come up with this time. No doubt, that was why Jesus said in Luke chapter 19, verse 41 and 42, and when he was come near, he beheld the city and he wept over it, saying, if thou hast known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes. That was the very day the Pharisees plotted to kill him. In chapter 19, verse 47, and he taught daily in the temple. But the chief priests and the scribes and the chief people of the temple sought to destroy him. 49 plus 434 years gives us a total of 483. Again, to explain how we got that, Gabriel explained to Daniel that it will take 70 weeks. This means 70 weeks of year, 70 times 7, 490. First period of 7 weeks, 7 times 7, 49. The second period, 62 weeks, 62 times 7, 434. 49 plus 434, 483. Remember, the total amount is 490. What has happened to the next 7 will be explained in our next devotion. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. Do have yourselves a great day.